My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school, wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're gonna figure it out.
Will you join us? Together we can make Canada a better place.
Hi, and welcome to 1111. Today, I am so excited to chat with Judith Royle. Judith has had 40 years experience in serving people to become empowered and live life to their highest potential. She is the owner and proprietor of Soul Genesis, which assists people to connect with their soul's purpose in life. Judith is an energy healer. She is a Reiki master. She is a life coach. She is an energy worker. I don't know if there's anything connected to spirituality and empowerment that Judith Royle cannot do. Judith, it is an honor to have you on this show and chat with you today.
Well, thank you so much, Roberta. It's just a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
As am I. So I would like to start, I guess, with where we are right now in the world and under this COVID-19, this pandemic. Are you finding that people are seeking your services and seeking help or enlightenment or some sort of peace of mind more than ever?
Absolutely. I was astounded. And it actually started around the beginning of COVID, where I saw a huge shift in the awakening of people to know that there's something more to life than just the routine daily life.
Absolutely. It certainly had a very profound impact on all of us. And I know personally something that's really helped me with it is meditation and starting a regular meditation practice. And I actually joined your group, and we did weekly meditations. It was a month-long series, and that was very powerful as well.
Mm-hmm. That's actually when my whole perspective of how to serve humanity kind of shifted, because we started off with a series of meditations to deal with the anxiety that came up with COVID, and then it was such a success, people said, well, can we do something else? So I skipped every other month, and I had a different theme for each month. And basically, where we were looking for as our destination is becoming our sovereign selves.
I like
resilient, because that's the key, is being resilient in these uncertain times.
That's an awesome word, resilient. Yeah, and I do think that these sessions were really helpful, not just to me, but to everyone who was participating. I know some of the ladies involved would provide feedback on their experience, because you would lead us through, it was a guided meditation, and we would report back, and there were some really profound experiences.
Mm-hmm. And I really have to say, one of the biggest benefits for that group is to know that they weren't alone. Because when you're going through a traumatic or crisis time, you just feel you're the only one that's dealing with it.
Right. And we're all in this together, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Judith, I really want to talk to you about past life regression, which is something you are very well versed in. So I'm wondering if you could maybe explain to the audience exactly what past life regression is.
Actually, I teach it and certify students in that. And it was interesting how I was introduced to it. I really had no desire to do a past life regression because somewhere I thought in those lifetimes I was burned at the stake. And who wants to go back and visit that? But there was a course that came up that kind of intrigued me, and that started me on the path. And what we're finding with this energy is that we don't have a choice anymore. We have to clear whatever is holding us back. Things that we've been holding on to that are holding us back, the blockages, all those things need to be cleared. And we also carry baggage from previous lives into this lifetime. So our intention when we do past life is to find information that will help us in this lifetime. So we craft a sentence as to what it is that you want to take a look at. And sometimes we even have the ability to heal the situation right there in that lifetime. And when we do that, we're able to heal all the other situations that are similar to that in subsequent lifetimes. It really is quite profound. And I've had students that whatever was bothering them, whether it was a phobia or some belief system, it was completely eradicated with a successful past life regression. And one of my clients actually wrote a book, and she dedicated a whole subject, a whole chapter in the past life regression that we did together. It was so profound for her.
Wow. Wow, that's so powerful. Is it difficult to go back to a past life?
Actually, it's the easiest thing that you could imagine. And really, all it is, sometimes you actually become a part of that person in that lifetime, or sometimes you watch it as a movie. But the interesting thing is, it's your unconscious mind that takes you back into those memories. And the prime directive of the unconscious mind is to protect you. So the unconscious mind is not going to take you to a lifetime that's going to freak you out or upset you. It's going to take you to a lifetime where you can work through whatever it is that you are looking for to heal the situation in this lifetime. So it's just goes with the flow as I lead. It's almost like a meditation where I'm sort of the tour guide. And the client is the one that actually does the watching of the movie and expressing what the learnings are as they watch the movie or that situation that they're privy to.
I've read a lot of books on this, and it does become a healing experience. I think, some people might be attracted to it just out of curiosity. But yeah, it appears, or from what I've read, that you can travel back, and even you will visit with people who are now making appearances in your existing life as well.
Yeah, there are repeating, because you see you've got unfinished business with those people, so they keep reoccurring in different lifetimes, so that you can either fulfill that contract or complete the business that you had with them in the previous lifetime.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There's something very reassuring about believing in past life regression and believing in reincarnation. I find it just gives you that sense that there's so much more to it than this, and this is not your only life, and there is something after death, because I feel like that's one of the things that really torments the majority of people. Like, we're all so afraid of death and what happens after that. So when you have a belief in past life regression and reincarnation, that there's peace in that, I think.
Mm-hmm. And also in mediumship, it's quite normal and possible to visit those loved ones on the other side, because usually they have a message. They see life with a different perspective on the other side. So those messages can be very healing too.
Right. Right. Okay, Judith, can we touch on soul genesis? Because
My passion.
yes, absolutely. I want to hear more about that.
Well, actually, I became introduced to Soul Genesis pretty well at the beginning of my journey. And my teacher, who was Vanessa Ralston at the time, I had to talk her into taking me on as a student because I was very new to the path. And my goodness, the song and dance I gave her to assure her that I was smart, I could do this, and so on. And that was just the beginning of a whole new world for me. And so that was in 2001. And around 2013, 2014, she announced that she was going to retire and she wanted to sell the business. And through some interesting messages and turn of events, I ended up buying the business. And so at that point, I decided it was time for Soul Genesis to go out into the world. Her work was really way before her time. So it's just starting to meet its stride now.
So what exactly is Soul Genesis? Now, I will share that. I actually had a Soul Genesis done by one of your students.
Yes.
And it was very, very interesting. And I guess I would like for you to explain, like, what would someone get from a Soul Genesis session with you?
Mm. Well, first of all, we need to understand that there's a difference between a Soul Genesis reading and clearing and a psychic reading. A Soul Genesis reading is reading your Akashic records. And if you're not familiar with that term, that is all God's information on your soul. And it's stored in the unconscious mind and in your golden web. And so we access that information to help us with this lifetime. There's always a purpose in whatever we do. And so what we do is we take a look at the soul's origination. And so we go back to your soul when it first became a soul, first originated. And the theory is that we didn't necessarily originate from Earth. We came in from other planets and other solar systems with the express purpose of helping Earth evolve. So that information is really important because each of the soul groups have characteristics, just like we have characteristics in our astrological signs. I'm a Taurus. So my characteristics are I can be stubborn and bullheaded. I don't think so. But I'm also loving. And so it is with soul groups. They have their various characteristics as well. So when we learn what our soul group is, the pieces of the puzzle start making sense. So all these bits of information that we glean from the Akashic records, when we take them as pieces of the puzzle, put them together, this is the core essence of who we are, not just in this lifetime, but the core essence of our higher self, our soul. And so the premise is we have a school of life on this side, there's a school of life on the other side. So what do we do when we're on the other side? How do we prepare for the next lifetime coming in? And we also take a look at what's going on in your energy field. Is there something that's holding you back, blocking you? And then the really cool thing about Soul Genesis is we just don't tell you what's wrong or how to do it. We actually have clearings. So they say that the future of healing is through sound. And with Soul Genesis, the sound is words. So we do this with prayer requests. It's very powerful work. So you still have to walk through your stuff, so to speak. But with Soul Genesis and the prayer requests that we use, it gives you more clarity, a clearer playing field, so that the doors actually open and you can say, oh, now I know what I have to do. So it just gives you more clarity and understanding of who you are.
I can definitely validate that, Judith. And one of the most interesting things I took from the Soul Genesis was the core wound.
Yes, that's crucial.
Crucial, right? So mine was victimhood. I'm not fussy about that either, but it is so me, right? And knowing that, I approach that life differently. It's like, oh yeah, there you are. You're being the victim again, right? Your
Yes.
core wound is coming up, and I always believe that you can't change what you can acknowledge. So insight and awareness is the most powerful thing. Like the more you know yourself, and you're aware of your own tendencies. But I definitely found that really fascinating. And I would certainly encourage anyone that might be interested in something like that to get in touch with you and have a Soul Genesis session, because it is
It's interesting you should bring up victimhood, because when COVID came to be, we automatically all went into victimhood. I mean, that's just part of being human. Oh, look what happened to me. But how we deal with victimhood, that's the crucial part. So people who are never able to take responsibility or own whatever they say and do, they're always in constant victimhood. So what I teach is you act as if you're a silent witness or an observer. You observe yourself. So just as you said, you take a step outside of yourself and say, what does this have to do with me? And what am I doing to create the situation? Now, sometimes we have to give ourselves some time and sit with the emotion. But eventually, after we've emoted all over the place and processed our emotions, we have the ability to do that. And that's wonderful that you've learned to do that.
It has been certainly very helpful in my life, like this awareness, and also, the meditation series with you, and picking up a regular meditation practice. And what I have found from that is you do get to a point where meditation it becomes so peaceful, so joyful. Like I come out of it and I just feel really, really good. So I feel like I'm constantly chasing that high now. Every time I meditate, that's the goal. I just want to relax and I just want to find this peace. And I get why people have a hard time with this, because there are days that my mind just doesn't want to stop. It doesn't want peace. It wants to race. It wants to fret about everything that could possibly go wrong in my life from now till the end of it. So yeah, it's certainly interesting. Do you have any tips for meditation, for getting past that monkey mind that just will not stop?
Well, as I said, it becomes a practice. One thing that I have observed about how people are dealing with this is that I hear the expression, when are we going to get back to normal? Mm-hmm. So the first thing we have to do is realize there is no normal. There isn't even a new normal. We're creating as we go. And that can be very stressful for people who need to have a lot of control in their lives. Yeah. And that's part of the monkey mind, is we're constantly planning and strategizing. That's what we do. That's what the mind's all about, is thinking and strategizing. But what we're finding is the more we try to do that, the more it doesn't work for us.
Right.
So there are three things that we need to focus on moving on into the future. And that is curiosity, doing your research, looking for new ways of doing things. Creativity is thinking outside the box, looking for different ways of doing things, because heaven only knows what we're doing has not been working for us. And then the last one is intuition, is using our intuition and trusting our gut. Having said that, we have to do the research first. Then you intuit as to what the next step is for you.
Right.
So those are it's not so much a trick. It is a perspective. It's a way of seeing things with different eyes. That, I think, is the ticket. Is changing your perspective, because you can't change behavior unless you change perspective.
I think you're onto something there, Judith. Absolutely.
Well, I'm not the only one.
So do you consider yourself highly intuitive?
Oh, yes. And I as a little girl, I remember having those feelings and thoughts. But you see, in my day, that wasn't encouraged or supported. And even, young women these days is not necessarily supported or encouraged when they have those skills. But it's interesting, if you're meant to go that path, the universe unfolds for you to find whatever it is that you are meant to do, your soul purpose or your destiny. So it was interesting. I didn't become reintroduced to this work until about 3 years before I retired. I was an elementary school principal, and I wasn't dealing with stress very well. So I thought to myself, I'm going to have to do something, or I'm going to be on Prozac for the rest of my life. And so that's what opened the doors. And then once I was introduced to Reiki, it was like a floodgate, and I couldn't get enough of anything. So mediumship skills were one of those things that I delved into that I became very good at.
Really? Wow, Judith. Yeah, you're a woman of very many talents.
Well, I'm a piece of work.
I was not aware of the mediumship, so that's really interesting to me. And I actually did some research on you. So I think we talked a little earlier before we started recording about maybe you doing a little reading for the collective for us.
I would love to.
We would love it.
Now, what I do is I use cards, but I don't use the book that accompanies the cards. I use whatever's on the card to sort of get my motor running. That's how I explain it.
Okay.
So the picture gets me started on where to go. And the other thing I have noticed with groups is that there is a common theme that brings us together. So your listeners that are going to be hearing this, we all have something in common. We're all here to hear a specific message. So when I say this message is for the group, I mean your listeners or whoever is about to listen to it, because energy is vibrational frequency. So if you're here, it's a vibrational match. So that's how I can say this message is for everybody.
Okay. Well, Judith, I need a message today, actually. So I'm really excited about this. I'm going to focus.
So I encourage everyone to think of a question. Don't tell me, but just think about something that you'd like to know about, and preferably not a yes or no kind of question. So I'm going to divide my cards into 3 groups. And on the behalf of the group, Roberta, would you please choose either the left, the middle, or the right group of cards?
The middle.
Okay.
They're jumping.
Yes, they are. That's interesting. Okay, here it is. Oh, this is interesting. I've just picked one card, but what I'm getting is, and pardon me, I'm not being rude. I'm waiting for the information to come in by turning that way. What I'm getting is that everybody out there and you are feeling that they're juggling a lot of balls. There are a lot of balls in the air. And the more balls we have in the air, the more likely it is that we're going to drop one. And so what we need to do is to, rather than find balance, find harmony. And what I mean by the difference between balance and harmony is, you've seen in the circus where there's a person spinning the plates, and he goes down the row and he keeps them spinning, and that's what is so mesmerizing, is that he's able to keep all those plates spinning. But if one of them stops spinning, of course, it falls on the floor and breaks. But harmony is different in that sometimes we have to pay attention more to one thing than another, because that is more important in the moment. So you don't have to feel that you have to do everything perfectly at the same time. Whatever it is that you need to focus on that and do a good job on it. And then the other stuff will fall into place, because we can't do everything all the time perfectly, which is how we get ourselves into trouble, is trying to be perfect.
Right.
So that, I would think, is the main message. And the other thing is some of us have a real hard time reaching out and asking for help. And if we do have a problem with that, what the universe does is provide us with opportunities for us to reach out and ask for help. Something happens in our lives where we don't have a choice. We have to ask for help. So that's all about community, establishing community. And that is paramount as we move forward in the future, is developing community, because we are not islands unto ourselves.
Judith, that is so powerful, and definitely really resonates with me, and I'm sure with a lot of people who are watching, because we are all trying to do so much, especially this time of year. You have some of your festive decorations out. We are heading into the holiday season. So everyone has so much more to do, and there is a lot of juggling, and I like this notion of harmony.
Yes. And Roberta, at this time of year, we talk a lot about compassion. But the point I would like to make is, first, we have to have compassion for ourselves. You can't have compassion for other people unless you have it for yourself. So rather than judge yourself, discern. So rather than beating yourself up about saying or doing something, take a look at it with different eyes and say, I don't think I'm going to say it that way next time, and use it as a learning experience.
It's almost like a factory setting to be judgmental or whatever. And I think that's too why meditation can be so powerful, because it calms the mind. It shuts off that nagging voice that's really sabotaging us.
Mm-hmm. It's not natural for our minds to go there. It's how we've been conditioned, how we've been taught. And so what we have learned is that we can rewire our brains to think differently, to upgrade our belief systems so that they work for us here in this moment.
So, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, or book a soul genesis session, or sign up for your meditation classes, how can we reach you?
Well, you can reach me through the Royal Treatment, royaltreatmentwellness.com, judithroyle.com, or soulgenesis.com. You can find me on Facebook, and you just ask to friend Judith Royle, and it's Royle, there's no A in there. I'm not toilet tissue, is what I tell everybody. And if they're interested, I've also become an author, and my book is called The Soul Already Knows. And it's about how I've learned lessons through past lives and how I've been able to apply them to this lifetime.
And it's fascinating. I actually
you've read it? Oh, wonderful.
It is. It's absolutely lovely. And I would certainly encourage any viewers who are interested in past lives to get that, to read that. Judith, thank you so much for your time today.
My honor and pleasure.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that I've met you.
Yes, and I'm glad I met you too. So from my heart to yours.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media. Now you can own your favorite Disney movies with Ignite TV. Choose from Disney titles such as Marvel Studios' Avengers Endgame,
Assemble.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker,
I will finish what Luke started.
and Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 4. With Ignite TV, you get first access to buy and own the Disney movies you love, so you can watch them again and again. Upgrade to Ignite TV today. Now you're in command.
Being stuck in your home during this pandemic also means you have a home. Waiting in line for groceries means you have money for groceries. The isolation, being broke and totally scared about what's next. I was feeling that before this crisis. People say we're in this